And good afternoon, everyone. This is John and Shawn with Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. Once again, we're joined by Jeremy from NFL Chaos with Jeremy. Guys, good morning or good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, doing well. Jeremy, how are you?
I'm good. Just enjoying sunny San Diego.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was going to say it's a little different background there.
We're in a rented house, but luckily they have good Wi-Fi. So
Nice. Sweet. So we now that the offseason has officially begun, congratulations to the Rams for winning the Super Bowl. But we wanted to start and take a look at how our projections fared against actual player stats for the year. Let's get to our top five. We got Matthew Stafford from the Rams. We had him projected at 14th. He ended up finishing fifth. That's a pretty big jump. You don't really expect that kind of jump for a guy. But man, getting out of Detroit, he ends up winning the Super Bowl. Your guys' thought on Stafford?
He put up the numbers that I expected him to do, just for the fact of him coming from Detroit, having the receivers and the running backs help that he had, and the kind of quarterback that he is. He is a good quarterback, and he showed it this year by winning a Super Bowl. So I think there's more to come in the next year or two, and if he does sign a short-term or a long-term deal to stay in the Rams, I think there's more years to come like this one where Matt Stafford shows what kind of quarterback that he has and what kind of quarterback he is in the system that he has with the Rams compared to what he had when he was with Detroit. So I expect more. I think the numbers could be even better with the lower interception ratio and more touchdown ratio. I think honestly he could go up and break the record for most touchdowns in a season if he really wanted to, and he was throwing the ball a lot more if they didn't have the running game that they have. So I think you'll see a lot more to come with Matt Stafford next year in his second year with the Rams, honestly.
Yeah, Peo Time said he had to go, but then he realized, oh, I have to wait while you're talking about my quarterback. But Jeremy, your thoughts on Stafford?
Look, he's an excellent quarterback. He finally got his opportunity on a real team, and you saw the numbers that that he could put up. I would expect that maybe his yards will be about the same, maybe more like 4,600. I think his touchdowns might come down to like 37, 38. But I think his interceptions will come down to like 12, 13, maybe even like 10 or 11 because second year in the system. So there'll be less mistakes and miscommunications and things like that. So I think there's going to be a balance where points-wise it'll be the same kind of season because even though the touchdowns and yards might come down a bit, his interceptions will come down, and that'll kind of balance it out. And the reason I think that is just because when you have a breakout, like really high year, it's like a regression to the mean thing. You can't expect, especially at his age, at this point of his career, that it's just going to be, he's going to keep going up, up, up. Like, I think he finally got to a real team. I think, like Cooper Kupp, for example, that's a career year. The odds are that he's going to come down a little bit. Doesn't mean he's not going to be the best receiver in football. It doesn't mean he's not going to have a great year. It doesn't mean he's not a guy you want desperately on your fantasy team. It just means it's really hard. No one's ever done it. No one's ever duplicated like record-breaking years. When you have a record-breaking year of all time, like receptions, yards, things like that, who's done it the next year again? Because everyone's going to be gunning for him. Everyone's going to be targeting him. He's going to make the Rams better still because of that. They're going to be gunning for him and targeting him. And whoever's that, if OBJ stays, if Woods comes back, the other guys are going to open it up and have a lot of success because of that. So I'm not predicting bad things for the Rams. I'm just saying it's just common sense, and just looking at numbers in history, everything regresses back. Everything always will go back to that mean. But I think Stafford will now be a number 5 quarterback in the league or somewhere in the top 10, because, again, I think the value of him fantasy is going to stay similar because he's going to lower those interceptions. And I think in real life, his value is going to get better because he's going to lower the interceptions. But he might not put up as big numbers as he did this year. They might go down slightly. But he's definitely at a high, he's established this tier. I don't think he's going to drop back down to being a number 14 quarterback. I think he's going to stay in the top 10 for next year.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I think he's a top 10 quarterback until his time comes up and he retires.
On to number 4 here. Number 4, Patrick Mahomes. We had him projected number 1. He finished number 4. In our Dynasty League, I traded Mahomes away before the start of the season. But yeah, guys, thoughts on Mahomes finishing number 4 instead of the top 1 or 2?
I think that it comes down to it is the reason why he finished number 4 to compare to number 2 or number 1 was the amount of interceptions that the players that he was throwing to the receivers would tip balls. It was hard to say Patrick Mahomes ever had a really bad interception. I mean, yeah, he had probably say about 3 to 4 this year, but out of the 13 interceptions, I would say probably 7 or 8 of them were probably a bad turnover on a player tip ball right into a cornerback or a defender's hands. So, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of offense the Chiefs have coming forward for this year. The last 2 years, the Chiefs' offense has kind of ran wild, and this year was kind of, I wouldn't say it was a down year, but Kelsey and Hill kind of didn't run wild like they have been. They were both top 6, 7 receivers last year, and this year they were kind of that 6 to 10. They weren't really like a top receiver every week in and week out, having big games, 150 yarders. I think also if they can develop the running game a little bit more, it would help Mahomes not having to throw the ball a lot. So I think that it'll be interesting to see what kind of outcome we have this year and what kind of year they have. I think that it'll still be a good year for the Chiefs. They'll probably still win an AFC West title, but I'm interested to see what kind of year Patrick Mahomes has after losing at home up 3 touchdowns in the playoffs.
Yeah, Jeremy, thoughts on Mahomes?
I don't want to give anything away. I'm going to be part of a big first round mock situation on a channel with some other jet providers, YouTube content providers. And one of the things I say about Kansas City's pick when I make the pick is Patrick Mahomes needs more weapons. He needs a retooling of weapons. And it's just what Shawn was saying, like tip balls, guys around, like guys around him. A lot of those were making mistakes. People thought that it was Mahomes. It wasn't Mahomes. It was Mahomes running for his life. Sometimes it was they have good individual offensive linemen, surprise guys that are playing well. They need to gel, and I think at week 8 or 9 they figured it out, and they did, and that's why you saw the improvement. So they need a full year of his offensive line gelling, not just being individually talented, but being a gelled and cohesive offensive line unit. And then he needs another weapon. Like Hill's not staying young forever. Like he's starting to lose that step that makes him unstoppable. So you need and they got Kelsey. Kelsey's still great. He needs that other weapon, right, to help Hill out, like that other really, really good player. And that's why I think that they're going to bring in. I think that they're going to retool him a little bit in the skill positions. And I think you're going to see his numbers come up from last year. Not that they were bad, but I think that the interceptions will go down. That's not going to happen again. I think he'll go back over 40 touchdowns if they succeed and get him some extra help. But he's going to be a great quarterback in this league for a long time. I mean, so whether he's number 2 or 3 or 4, number 1 each year, it doesn't matter. It's going to be the collective career that he puts together. He's going to be a top 5 guy every year. He's not going to all of a sudden lose his skills and just be an average quarterback, right? So he's definitely a guy that stays on top of my list. He's a guy I want on my team, whether it's real life and I'm a coach building a team, or whether it's I'm a fantasy general manager building my team. Patrick Mahomes is a key name that you take in that draft. You get him early and you get him onto your team because you know what you're going to get. You're going to get very, very good performance.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah, I ended up getting Justin Herbert from the Chargers. He comes in at number 3. We had him at 9. It'll be interesting to see what they do at wide receiver. I know Williams is a free agent there with the Chargers. But your guys' thoughts on Herbert and his improvement over his rookie year?
I just think the ceiling's – he hasn't even hit the ceiling yet. I think that's been the word of the day with ceiling. But I honestly, in the 17-week year, and with Justin Herbert's ability to throw the ball as good as he can, I honestly would not expect or not be shocked if I don't see him pass for over 5,500 yards next year. I just think that he could average that high of yardage with the amount of times he throws the ball and as good quarterback he is. He plays in a pass-friendly offense. He plays in a pass-friendly division.
Mhm.
And with his schedule coming up next year, I could see him passing the ball a lot. So I honestly see him being almost a number one quarterback next year just for the ability that he does throw the ball as much as he does. And the fact that he can run the ball as well, kind of taken over now he's not a mobile quarterback, but I think he could be MVP caliber.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, thoughts on Herbert with the Chargers? I
I
almost
agree.
said in San Diego, but you're in San Diego.
I'm in San Diego right now. I agree 100% with Shawn. This is the most exciting player in the league from as far as we don't know his ceiling. So it's always nice when you get these kind of numbers, the numbers we're looking at, and we don't even know the ceiling, right? I mean, this is just year 2. I think I hope the Chargers give him some more weapons. Again, give him a little bit more, keep building around him. I see him as the new Dan Fouts in San Diego, you know? I see him as a Dan Fouts, Dan Marino type guy. The kind of guy that's going to just light it up. I mean, I think he'll be the next quarterback to hit 50 touchdowns. I think definitely he could be a guy that's going to tease us and push towards 6,000 yards. Maybe at 5,500, 5,600, but that's kind of like a tease to say, can he get to 60? 6 people will be saying, can he get to 6 like the next year? But that's the kind of career this kid's probably going to have. He's going to be that kind of guy where year after year, he's going to put up insane passing stats. We'll see if that works for the Chargers as far as winning Super Bowls and being championship teams, because it doesn't always work out that way. But from a fantasy perspective, I agree. He has the potential to be the number one fantasy player in the league every year. And he's completely justified to be the first quarterback picked in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Completely justified.
Yeah, agreed. So it'll be interesting to see what weapons they add because, like I said, Williams is a free agent. But let's move on. Let's move on to number 2. And number 2 was Tom Brady. We had him projected at number 8, but he finished number 2. And he had 5,300 yards. So there's the first guy moving towards that 6,000 number. But guys, thoughts on Brady's season and then Brady's retirement?
We don't have to talk about Tom Brady anymore. Maybe. Who knows? There's a lot of questions. Does he retire? Does he go to San Francisco? Like the rumors are saying that he could go to San Francisco and play in a warm weather team again. They have the weapons there. They have everything there to get him there. It's Tom Brady. I mean, there's nothing really short of saying it's Tom Brady. I mean, he is who he is. He's multi-champion MVP. He owns almost every possible passing record he can. And for the age that he still had a 43 touchdown to 15 turnover ratio. I mean, he almost had 3 touchdowns every 1 turnover. So it's crazy to think that at his age he had that, and with the amount of injuries that they had in Tampa Bay all year. So yeah, I mean, it would be cool to see him be able to say, hey, I'm playing 1 more year and have an offense built around him that's healthy. But we all want to see him finally retire and be done. I think it's finally that time where it's like, all right, let it be, ride on off into the sunset, enjoy your retirement. But will he come back is always going to be the biggest question. It's Tom Brady. I think it's in him to want to still play. And I think if he finds that right team that gives him the right players, I think he could do it.
Yeah. Jeremy, your thoughts on Brady? Being Jet fans, we had to play him twice a year for, I don't know, what was it, 20 years there, but his retirement and his season.
Look, his season was amazing. It's absolutely amazing. To be doing this at his age it's ridiculous. I mean, there are guys at 36, 37 that just fall off a cliff. I mean, their body starts to change. The reflexes, things just start to deteriorate, even though you can't see it because a 38-year-old guy could look healthy and strong and, and work out and be, a stud. But that tiny little percentage that you can't see makes all the difference in the league. But it also shows the quarterback position, how much of it is intelligence and slowing down the game and being able to read the field and process. And that's what I think he's one of the greatest to ever play the game, if not the greatest player to play the game. That was his biggest skill above everything else, was just, it's like the game was in slow motion to him. So he was able to play so many years without his full physical peak, but even his whole career, he was never a physical specimen. He's just, his brain, his mental intelligence, his football intelligence is just so incredibly high. It's going to be a different league without him. It really is. I'm not that I'm going to miss him so much, obviously, as a Jets fan, but it's a different league without him. He was that much of an impact person. It's like Jordan leaving basketball.
Right.
It's a big deal. But an incredible way to go out. There's no shame for him. I mean, obviously, what an incredible way to go out. To go out still the best, still the top of your game. I mean, I think it's a smart move. Why have your career be remembered any other way? Go out as still the best. What a great way to leave. What a great way to leave the game. Rather than jump around like Flacco is, or you know what I mean, or stay on a team like Ben and really struggle and have people be like in pain watching you because they remember what you were. Just go out the way you are right now, the best there was, the best there is, and the best there'll be.
Yeah, and I agree with that one. I mean, he went out the way he wanted to go out. He said, if I knew every day I didn't have what it takes to be a winning quarterback, I didn't want to do it anymore. And he just might not in his head think he's a winning quarterback right now. So it might change, though, 100 more times. It could, possibly, with Tom Brady. No one thought he would ever leave New England. He did. And everyone said once he was with Tampa Bay, he'll never leave, and he might.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, yeah, you never know. I mean, it kind of seemed, I don't want to say forced, but like the rumor started to fly that he was announcing his retirement. And then comes out that, I haven't made any decisions. And then a week or so after that, it's like, yeah, I'm retiring. We'll see. I honestly think he's going to play again next year, but with a different team. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Guys, that was number 2, going from a guy we used to play twice a year as Jet fans to a guy we do play twice a year as Jet fans. Josh Allen finished number 1. We had him projected at number 2. Great year there up in Buffalo. Guys, thoughts on Josh Allen?
The guy's gonna be a top 5 quarterback in the rest of his career almost. Unless he has a major injury or has an injury year. The guy just, he performs. I mean, he had almost top 2 or 3 rushing yards for a quarterback, and he didn't really start rushing until mid-season. The 4,400 passing yards seem low, but you also got to think about it. He didn't really need to throw the ball in some of the games. Like, you also think about it, he had one game where he threw for, in the heavy winds and all that, and when he played against New England. You had a few games where he kind of just was mediocre and had 190 to 220 yardage game. He kind of, I wouldn't say paced himself, but he kind of didn't overachieve himself and need to go over the top to perform. If he would probably been in the Super Bowl, it could have been an MVP year, but I think there's a lot of MVPs that come for Josh Allen, honestly. Buffalo found their quarterback that can bring them a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. And I do believe that they win a Super Bowl within the next 5 years as well. And you see them finally get that Super Bowl off their back and the monkey off their back and bring one home.
Yeah, I agree. I think I do believe Allen will take them to a Super Bowl and win one. Jeremy, thoughts on Josh Allen there in Buffalo?
Yeah, well, he's my biggest hope and inspiration for Zach Wilson.
Right.
Like every hope and dream I have for Zach Wilson, a lot of it rests in Josh Allen's hands because it's like you look at him his first year and then his first couple of few years and you think you can't make a judgment on a quarterback and you can't set a limitation for what they could become based on their rookie year. Like and Josh Allen is going to be for a lot of people with young quarterbacks that struggle. He's going to be that success story. He's going to be you cannot judge someone so quickly. You got to look at other things, other intangibles. The only concern I would have for him is the same that I have with Kyler Murray. He runs a lot. He takes a lot of hits. So that's definitely a concern. Like we were cringing during that Kansas City game in the playoffs. During the watch party, I remember you were there, John. Like me and my brother were like, "Oh no, stop!" Because when he's so competitive, you don't want to see him get hurt. He's so competitive that he will not give up and he will run. He will go headfirst into very big linebackers, and that's very scary. But that's the only concern for him. Like I believe the turnovers will go down. He'll just get smarter and more efficient. The game will continue to slow down for him. He's obviously a top, extremely high level player. Like Buffalo's got to be so happy to have this guy. I mean, it's just about keeping him healthy. It's just about picking your battles. Like, don't worry about live to fight another day sometimes. Like in certain situations, you go all out and you do what you got to do because the game's on the line. In other situations, it's just throw the ball away. It's not worth it, especially because you're good enough on the next play to get the first down on the next play. That's my only concern for him. Other than worrying about him getting hurt, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. He's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. He's going to flop around with Herbert, Mahomes. I mean, this is one of the guys who have taken the gauntlet. This is one of the guys who has taken over for what's going to soon to be former guys of Brady and Rodgers and Breeze. This is the new line of quarterbacks. These are the new guys. And Josh Allen is definitely one of those new guys, those new top 5 franchise elite. Can keep his team competitive every year. Expect him to one day hold up that Lombardi trophy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with exactly what Jeremy said. Pretty much. I mean, he's going to be the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, or the top 3 that we see right there, or 3 out of 4, should I say, for the years to come. The Brady, the Rodgers, the Breeze, Phillip Rivers years, Roethlisberger, Manning, all the years that we've seen them be the top 5 quarterbacks pretty much. There's a new quarterback round coming in, and you can definitely see it. It's showing that you not only want to have the arm that they have to sling the ball around, but the mobility to move around in the pocket as well and get rid of the ball. If all 3 can keep the turnover ratio down, I could see all 3 of them being a 5,500-yard passing quarterback, honestly. And, I mean, the Chiefs versus the Bills playoff game will probably go down as the wildest playoff game we've seen in years to come with the amount of yards and touchdowns in the last 2 minutes of a game. I mean, it's just there's things you see and there's things you dream of, and that's one of those dream of kind of moments. And I think that the NFL is going to be in good hands for years to come, and there's a lot of things that can come about in the next few years.
Yeah, agreed. So, guys, thanks for joining me for our fantasy quarterback review.